Hello, I'm Alex Gill, and we're here at ACEN 2011 with Trevor Mueller, a guest of honor here at Anime Central. How did you get into the world of being a writer and a comic book artist?
So I've been making comic books for most of my life, actually, and ended up taking a break from it in college very briefly, because, you know, I'm paying to be in college, so I figured I should actually study. And a bunch of my friends started getting into webcomics at the time, and just kind of missed, you know, the creativity and the passion and the collaborative nature of comics, so got back into webcomics that way. And the comic that I started in college I've been working on for the last 10 years now, The Temple of a Thousand Tears. So from that ended up spawning into a comedy series that I wanted to do on my website because I just wanted to mix it up a little bit. Went to conventions like this and started networking with creators and editors and other comic book people, and kind of got into the published world that way.
It says here you've worked on several webcomics. Where did all of your ideas come from?
So The Temple of a Thousand Tears comes from my love of three things, really. So Eastern philosophy, specifically the book called the Hagakure, which is basically a series of quotes from a retired samurai over the last 7 years of his life. And just a lot of the quotes in there sounded really cool. Some of them I could kind of relate to. Some of them have absolutely no bearing on modern society whatsoever. But they're still great to read. The other one would be my love of samurai film. So Akira Kurosawa being one of my favorite directors of all time. And, you know, the movie Seven Samurai is just such a great influence on that story. And then the third would be my love of video games, specifically the Final Fantasy series. And I was like, how cool would it be to take Seven Samurai, Final Fantasy VII, mash them together, and turn it into an awesome online web series, which is where the Temple of a Thousand Tears came from. And then the other comic that I do is called Asshole. And Asshole is kind of like a slice of life story that kind of makes fun of a lot of the goings-on in my life or the things that I see in everyday society to the nth degree, right? To kind of, you know, blow it out of proportion and make it ridiculous and hilarious and fun for everybody. So that's kind of where that comic comes from.
You also happen to work for an advertisement company. Do you any ideas while working on webcomics and books spill over into advertising, or does the reverse happen?
Constantly. The advertising world is one that is very creative, obviously, but also very political, not unlike comic books, and people don't necessarily realize that because they just see the creativity. Advertising inspires a lot of the stuff that I have going on in Asshole all the time, because I'll see ads that are just totally ridiculous. One of my favorite was a shampoo commercial around the time Twilight came out for a shampoo that would get your vamp on. And the dude had fangs. How does having pale skin and sucking the blood of living people sell shampoo? I don't get it. But it's hilarious and ridiculous. So likewise, like, because obviously with comic books you have aesthetics and layouts and production and stuff like that, a lot of that goes into the side of advertising as well. And so I can take a lot of the things that I've learned from comics and apply to advertising, and take a lot of the things that I see in advertising and make fun of it in comics.
All right. Do you feel the recent events in Japan will affect the future of anime and video games, and how do you think that will happen?
I definitely think that it will play a role, and Japan has always kind of been a country that has been culturally stored in tragedy, right? So like a lot of their storylines are about post-apocalyptic events or eventing apocalyptic events, and obviously they're the only country in the world that's ever had a nuclear bomb dropped on them. So now they are also a country whose claim to fame includes having the largest earthquake, followed by a record-breaking tsunami, followed by an almost impending nuclear disaster that is beyond Chernobyl. And I definitely think that that's going to end up playing a role in, you know, the video games and the stories that we see coming out of Japan. You know, there's going to be a lot of personal drama and tragedy that creators can draw upon for that, having lived through and survived things like that. So I'll be interested to see what happens, and obviously my thoughts and prayers go out to the people who are living over there, and you know, I obviously try to help out as best I can by selling artwork and donating it to you know, to nonprofits and anything else that I can do to help those people out.
And I think that's something we can all agree on. You're also involved with the Reading with Pictures project. Can you explain to us what that is and what your role is as part of it?
So Reading with Pictures is a nonprofit organization that's working to get comics in the classroom. Essentially, we want to utilize comic books as an educational tool and arm teachers with an extra thing that they can do to help increase literacy in underdeveloped readers, reading retention and information retention, and also to help reach some of those students who, like me growing up, have ADD and really just don't pay attention to traditional textbooks. It's boring. It's not fun. I mean, why do you sit there and learn about Shakespeare by reading the script of Shakespeare? That's never the way that Shakespeare was meant to be experienced unless you're an actor. But we teach this in English class, so why can't we look at Shakespeare through a comic book? You know, they're still reading, they're still getting all of that, but they're also getting the visual aspect of Shakespeare that was intended to be there from the original creator. Likewise, you can do the same thing with science, mathematics, any kind of, you know, narrative that you're reading about, biographies. You know, it makes it a little bit more interesting. And we're commissioning a study with Northwestern University right now to try to see how comic books can play a role in increasing retention levels in students. They did a study back during World War II in the United States Army with soldiers, not with citizens, that actually detailed out that any kind of complex instruction had higher retention levels in soldiers if they were mirrored with text and a visual aid. We see this being applied in setting up furniture from IKEA or programming our VCR, you know, or I guess DVD player now. I've just dated myself. You know, so why not use that in education for comics? Why are comics less of a literary resource than a novel? You know, they're not. They totally apply. So to answer the second part of the question, I'm actually the marketing director for the organization. My claim to fame being was getting the word out to produce the first anthology that we did. It's a 200-page full-color anthology collecting 37 stories that are all ages appropriate from award-winning creators, and a lot of the creators that we have in there, if they were not Eisner nominated previously, I think there's 3 or 4 of them that are Eisner nominated this year. So it's incredible. And so when we ended up getting the funding for that through Kickstarter, we were 150% to budget. So the promotion for it was phenomenal. The outcry for it from teachers and librarians was great. Parents want to see comics in the classroom, and they, you know, mostly they just want to see their kids reading. And if comic books are the way that they do that, so be it. I would love to provide them with all ages content that, you know, is fun to read, educational, and maybe there's something in there that has a little bit of a moral message that kids can pick up on as well.
Shonen Jump has done that for my brother, so I totally understand where you're coming from. It says here you are local to the area here in Chicago. How fun is it to have the 3rd largest anime convention in your hometown?
It is excellent. I did not have to fly or drive out here. I just went to work with all of my gear, packed it onto the Blue Line train, headed out to Rosemont, and I can walk right here. It's great. The other great thing about Chicago is that the number of professional comic book creators here is astounding. You know, Mike Norton lives here working over on DC's, you know, Teen Titans and Justice series. You've got Don Kramer, who works on Wonder Woman. You've got Art Balthazar doing Tiny Titans. Russell Lissau, you know, who you guys just interviewed, lives out in the burbs here. And you can kind of forge a relationship with some of these people outside of just the professional realm. And that's one of the reasons why, you know, I exhibit with these guys a lot, is because not only are we professionals with each other and, you know, I don't want to say co-workers, but, you know, competing for the same jobs and challenging each other to be better, but we've also become good friends. So, and Chicago has just opened up a lot of doors for me professionally.
Okay. Is there a website that we can go to check out your work?
Yeah, so my website is trevoramueller.com. You can Google search Trevor Mueller, Trevor A. Mueller, or just go to the web. You know, it's all my name. It's all branded. And so both of my webcomic series are on there, a blog announcing any new projects that I have out, and we should be launching a store a little bit later this summer so people can buy some of the books that I do have available.
Are there any final words you want to get out to your fans?
Read stuff, because it's awesome. And if it's my stuff, kudos to you.
All right, it's Trevor Mueller. Thank you.